Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Please give a warm TDH welcome. We are discussing Heritage Month today. The Honorable Minister Owen Darrell, the Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture, and Sport. I'm going to remember it one day. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome, folks. All right. Calm down. Sir, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Jamel. How are you? Good morning to you and your listeners.
Happy Friday to you. I got to ask you before we get into anything, right? Do you remember your childcare provider?
I absolutely do. Yeah, I had a lady, she's passed away now. She was Miss Goodchild, and I went to St. Anne's Nursery, which was way up in Southampton. Interestingly enough, I lived on Napton Hill. So people say, well, why did you go all the way up to Southampton? My mom actually worked at Port Royal Primary School, so it was easier for her to drop me there. But interesting fact, I actually even remember my younger brother's childcare provider, and it was Schoolhouse Nursery. So
and he, right near, baby.
You and he may have the same experience.
Yep. No, this audience. I say that's funny. I don't know anyone else but went Schoolhouse Nursery.
Yeah. I actually went across that place the other day, and I was shocked that it's actually still there.
Still open.
It is still open on Brighton Hill. They put a speed bump there, so after what 40 years of a nursery being there, they finally decided to put a speed bump there to slow cars down. Interesting, but yes, I do remember mine, and I do remember my brothers as well. So
I think, you know what? Taylor asked a question. I think I'm going to stop by one day and just introduce myself. Obviously, all new teachers, probably new owners. I'm just going to introduce myself, say, this is my beginning. This is the first place I remember being in a place. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. Sorry, Teo talked a lot. He was talking about football and everything else, and we got away from things. So forgive us for making you late for the house today. And we'll write in there as well.
It's not the house that you may make me late for. I am going to West Pembroke Primary School after I leave here to talk to the lovely students there about Heritage Month. So.
Not the student. Now I feel real bad. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get it.
There's a lot going on. As I was reading before this conversation, I was like, over the last couple of days, I'm like, wow. They have it going on. But just remind Bermudians, I said it earlier, with all that's going on in Bermuda, learning about who we are is so important. But why is Heritage Month so important for Bermudians to celebrate?
I mean, because you had a question earlier, what does Heritage Month mean to us? And Heritage Month is basically a celebration of Bermuda, her people, and our way of life, right? So it's really, really important. And a lot of times as young people, we don't appreciate the celebration of our heritage and recognizing the cultural uniqueness that we have in this island. And I can tell you that firsthand, as many people would know, that I was an educator for almost 20 years before where I am now. And it's I taught social studies. And, one of the highlights of that course was a Bermuda social studies project that we used to do. And shout out to some of my colleagues back in the day, Miss Nicole Grant, Miss Lisa De Silva. We actually developed this project way back when I was a young teacher at Cedar Bridge Academy. And it involved students picking a cultural topic, finding, they had to interview someone, they had to go out and take pictures. And the best thing is that they had to take like a demonstration of whatever they used to do culturally and present it. And to this day, I mean, you have individuals, I'll call one out, Miss Shalini Johnston, now always talks about this wedding project that she did, and people used to do gombes and architecture and Bermuda cuisines, and it's really important. And I see a lot of my former students, and they say, Mr. Darrell, thank you for getting me to do that project. I'll never forget it, and I still have the video of the presentation I did. So it's really important to be in touch with our history and why we have become the island that we have. So it's really important. And I really, really get into it and enjoy it. And everyone that knows me would know that, Bermuda Day is one of my favorite holidays. Not an official holiday, but it might be right behind the holiday which I call Punny Game, Easter.
Hey, I knew he were going to say cup match.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Do.
Oh no! Everyone that knows me knows that Eastern counties, especially when Cleveland County are playing, is my favorite holiday. All
Yeah,
right. So,
his made of the holiday, folks. I get it, but
absolutely.
I get it as a child of an Eastern County. With all that said, what you just shared, this year's theme.
Absolutely.
Speak to this year's theme and why it was chosen.
So this year's theme is the future is now, right? And I want to just go back to last year's theme, which culture equals energy, and we brought that theme because the year prior to that, we had so much energy in this Heritage Day parade, Bermuda Day parade, May 24th parade, whatever you want to call it. We had so much energy, right? That the following year, so in 2023, we said, you know what? There's no other theme other than culture equals energy. And then if you go back to last year when we had that theme and that parade, you saw that the energy is actually brought to the parade by young people, right? I mean, you have these groups that you see groups that are now participating in the parade where their leaders started as little pom-pom girls, right? So you then say, well, wow, the future of this parade, the future of Bermuda, the future of carrying on our legacy and heritage is actually now, and it's right in front of our eyes, right? So we thought that that was a fitting theme. You would see that many of the participants and floats are, have young people in it, and we're happy to highlight the young people that are going on. And you will see that we're not going to announce it today, but many of the grand marshals are aligned with that theme, and I think we'll be very proud to support our grand marshals. And I'm also happy to say, because I know how and everything that goes on in the background, that the team at the Department of Culture is led by some very, very intelligent and robust and energetic young people who are just ready to take culture and heritage and just continue to push it ahead in our community.
Indeed. Love it. Love it. As I stated, I went through the calendar and there's so much to do throughout the month, not just on Bermuda Day, not just the parade or Bermuda Day Half Marathon Derby or the Singular Packwood Race. Speak to some of the events that are taking place throughout the month.
Well, I'll tell you, as people would see, if you go to culture.bm, there's a full calendar of events for Heritage Month. And it's shocking that it's already May 9th. So some of these events have already taken place, but you've got one this weekend that people may say, oh, I didn't even think of that as a heritage event, but it's on our calendar, and that's Relay for Life, right? Relay for Life is a very important event on our calendar for Bermudians. You've got the First Harbor Nights that happens on May 14th. Now, you may say, well, I never thought of heritage or Harbor Nights as part of Bermuda's culture or Bermuda's heritage. But if we decided we're not going to have Harbor Nights anymore, people would say, wow, like that's part of how I grew up is now missing. So we've got that on the calendar. We've got live music from artists such as Tino Martinez, who's going to be doing some live events at different establishments throughout the month. We've got Court Street Market, where our local vendors who sell cultural items can go to Court Street and sell them. You've got the True Stick Foundation. And here's a funny one for you, Jamel. And I looked at this on our Heritage Day calendar and I said, interesting. So the Department of Culture are sponsoring yoga courses. And I was like, wow, like yoga and heritage. And that is truly an example of the future is now, right? Because I'm going to get in trouble. I know I am. But when I first started, looking at yoga, and it's probably been around forever, I was just like, well, how is doing a couple of stretches exercise, right? It just looked like stretching to me. I said, well, that's what you do before you exercise. But you can see that in this community and even around the world, yoga has taken off, and it now makes its way on a heritage calendar that we actually promote and support. So there's quite a bit, and it all, everybody thinks that after May 24th, but it's actually the holiday is May 23rd this year. But everyone thinks that after the holiday, heritage is over. No, we still have another week of events.
Correct.
So that is the biggest one. That is the one that we all get involved in. And not everyone goes to the parade. There's individuals that use that day to go to the beach for the first time. That's part of our heritage. There are individuals that put their boat over that weekend for the first time. So there's quite a bit going on, and
Mhm.
with it now kind of aligned and connected around Memorial Day weekend, we even see many tourists and visitors coming to Bermuda, and sometimes they don't even know that they happen to
Mhm.
be in Bermuda during our biggest cultural event of the year. So
Mhm.
it's definitely taken off. Again, the future is now, and I encourage everyone, however you decide to celebrate and participate in Bermuda Day, or Heritage Day, or however you want to call it.
24th of May.
Yeah, I heard that conversation earlier, and it's what some people will say, and you'll see the post, right? No matter what you say, it's always May 24th to me.
Yep.
But I've definitely gotten in the habit since I was probably an educator of
Mhm.
referring to it as Heritage Month and Heritage Day.
There you go. Well,
Mhm.
real quickly on the yoga thing, I've done yoga the last 2 weeks since I've been in Bermuda, and he's right, man. I never thought it was actually, it was
Yeah,
pressure.
it's some serious work.
Boy, yeah. I'm still walking. That's the important part. Let's talk about the parade this year. How many participants we looking at?
Um, Last year was a record number of participants. We had 75 participants last year. The numbers is something that at this stage I do not disclose, because as we are still, finalizing numbers, I may say 50, and there will be someone guaranteed on Bermuda Day that will say, on May 9th, the minister said that there were going to be 50 participants, and I only counted 49. So,
Mm.
that was, so we don't give the numbers until I think I'll do a press conference probably the week of, and I will announce our final numbers then. But I will let you know, Jamel,
Okay.
and to your audience, there will be a few surprises. There will be some oldie but goodies back in the parade, and we listen. We listen as a government, as a department, and a lot of I call it changes. A lot of the suggestions. Last year we put out a survey. We have listened to, and the way I operate, I sit down and I'll look across the table and I'll say, well, we have a suggestion for this. And they say, no, minister, we can't do that. And the question I always say is, why not? Tell me why not.
Mm.
And they'll go through and tell me why not. And these are the pros, these are the cons. I said, well, let's go with the cons. Let's see if we can do it. Or let's see if we could come somewhere in the middle. So I'm happy, and I'm not going to release that because I want to build that excitement. But there will be some surprises in this parade that I've heard. You will see me walking the parade route on Bermuda Day. I do not stay down the viewing plot at Front Street. I do go around. I go to my family's spot up on Marketplace. We've heard the suggestions. Minister, why don't you do this? You guys should do this. It's too long. It's too short. Why so many gaps?
There you go. The complaints.
There's so many gaps, and there's so much that comes up. And what we don't wish to do is for a group that has been practicing and preparing for Heritage Month to perform and to put on a show for you for $0. Let me just put that out there. What we're not going to do is draw hard lines and say, you know what, you're not allowed to perform for your grandmother who always sets up outside the cabinet office. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
we have to have some give and take.
Yeah.
The marshals, they do a good job, but just as we hear kind of the individuals that watch the parade giving suggestions, we also have to listen to the suggestions of those that are in the parade. So it's something that we do not take lightly. A lot of work, a lot of man hours go into putting on a cultural display that everyone could be proud of.
You said there's going to be some surprises and
Mhm.
some things that will be returning. Audience, I don't think he's going to tell us, but I want the audience. Let's guess. Let's put our heads together and try to figure out what this could be. I'm interested, but I want to go to the audience real quickly. And audience, if you have any questions or comments for the minister, please send them through. Charles H. Jeffs II is asking, it has been suggested on social media that Bermuda Day be canceled this year due to the recent gun violence, which I don't agree with. Will there be any remembrance of those who have lost their lives?
Absolutely. I mean, that those tributes are very personal to individuals in their community. You would have seen, sadly, 2 years ago, we had a footballer, Marco Warren, who unfortunately and tragically passed away a couple of weeks before Bermuda Day. And the PHC, obviously a club that he's very much a part of, took that opportunity to put a tribute out to their fallen member. So I expect that there will be tributes that will be in this parade. That is not something that we put any guidelines on. It's not something that we ask about, but I'm sure that you will see some sort of tribute in this parade. And we leave that for the communities. I mean, I think it is more heartfelt when it comes from the community to honor um, their loved one, how they feel it is appropriate and how they feel it is fit.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Karen Simmons says, "Oh, Warwick Majorettes returning and 50th anniversary." Okay, that
Ooh.
was said yesterday. Warwick United. Have you got Dean Fogo says, "I know the surprise that Cedar Bridge Academy will bring this." Well, why are you all keeping secrets from me? Can you send a brother an inbox, Mr. Fogo? But how does it make you feel as minister? Because this is exciting. I mean, my former boss, Glenn Blakeney, was the minister who previously oversaw this back in the day, and to me, it's one of the most enjoyable times to be Bermudian during Heritage Month. As the minister, what do you take, just from a personal standpoint, before we let you go? What do you enjoy most about Heritage Month and being able to support the Bermudians in the Department of Culture in doing this?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, this is not new to me, right? And I'll start there. Anyone that will see me on Heritage Day, Bermuda Day, again, however you want to describe it, will know that this is something I've done um, as long as I can remember. I enjoy connecting with people. It's heritage. So just like Cup Match, where you know where everyone's camp is located and you make it a point to go to those camps, is the same thing with Bermuda Day Parade. You know where families are set up, and you know where they're going to be, and you know who's going to be there, and you know who has the best coleslaw and who has the best fried chicken.
Mhm.
And dare I say, you also know who has the best swizzle.
Mhm.
So that's what I actually enjoy about Heritage Day. And a joke, a couple of years ago when I became the minister responsible for culture, and the first thing they said was, "Minister, how many guests would you like to sit at the flagpole?" And I looked and I said, "Flagpole? Sit at flagpole? I'm not going to the flagpole." And they said, "No, no, Minister, you have to." And it was you know, if you know how I am, you know who I am. That was very restrictive for me, right? So I said, I'll give you 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes at the flagpole, and then I got to do what I do, right?
Mhm.
So I enjoy that. I enjoy getting out and just seeing people taking a day off, relaxing with their family. And you mentioned something about putting tape down. It's almost to the point now where tape is just something that you do. Because even if somebody has tape down and you know that the Smiths have been in this spot for the last 20 years, your tape will be removed and the Smiths will say, "No, no, no, you know this is our spot. Check you later."
Mhm.
So that's all part of, like you said, the traditions and the heritage of what Bermuda Day Parade has become. So I just enjoy getting out and connecting with um, the public.
One last question. So I've been away the last few years for Bermuda Day, and I mean the coverage online via CITV has so many viewers. Is there any way, and this may be out of your remit, this may be DCI, but is there any way to kind of, I'm not saying it has to be Macy's Day Parade, but there are so many Bermudians that, love to remain connected, whether it's Cup Match or Bermuda Day. Is there any way to improve the coverage, or is that not something that falls under your remit to ensure we can do?
I will tell you that that is not under our remit. However, the production that goes onto that is massive. Behind the scenes, I got to see the behind the scenes over the last 2 years, because I show up on camera and they say, "Minister, how's the day going? How are you enjoying it?" And that's what people see. But what they don't see is the cables that are running, and the
Mhm.
tests that have been put in, and all the talking points, and the camera men and women who are braving the elements, especially 2 years ago when it rained.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that goes into it. And if it was easy, as they say, everyone would be doing it. But I will shout out to the creatives that we have, because you have seen videos come online over the last couple of years where different creatives, I will shout out Kian Dickinson, Dion the creative,
Yeah.
Bar Memes, all of them pretty much pull out their cameras, their videos, and they capture
Yeah.
the uniqueness of Bermuda Day from an angle that we may not see.
Yeah.
So while I cannot promise that we'll expand the live coverage as you know it, I can promise you that we, as the Department of Culture, are supporting those creatives,
Mhm.
and we will do even a better job to making sure that their coverage, their videos, and their work is readily available to the public.
Indeed, Minister, thank you so much for making time coming on. I just want to leave you with this. Charles H. Chapter II says, I appreciated seeing the minister up and down the parade route, especially the year when we had all the rain. I remember seeing you. I'm like, not me, bro.
Here's the thing, and I always say this, right? Because that will go down in history as to why did we have a parade in the rain.
Right.
And I'll quickly go through it. People had already set up because that morning it was overcast, but it was no rain. So everyone was already set up. They were done. I saw these, young ladies had their makeup and their hair all done. And you just think people have been practicing for January. I called the weather service. The weather service said it will rain and it will rain hard, but there is no electricity in this storm, meaning there was no lightning. So it's safe. It's going to be messy. It's going to be wet, but it was safe. And the rationale was, if you're going to pack up your tent now, you were going to get wet regardless. So we made the call, and there we went. And not only was I up and down that parade route, but shout out to Whip Bermuda, because that year I had a whip, and first time ever on a whip. And when I tell you, the department was holding their breath. And that is why I was not on a whip last year, because they would not allow me to get on one. So thanks for that shout out. I enjoyed that year. I enjoyed last year. I enjoy every year. And we're looking forward to
what's crazy is that's what I remember about you the most, like the whip that you won. And I'm like, and I noticed you didn't have it last year. So I was like, oh, he must have got banned. They took him off the road.
Yeah, they definitely banned me. Yeah, it's
no whip again this year, Karen Simmons. No,
they told me no whip is over. I mean, they have tabs on me because you know how this goes, right? I'm also the minister of sport. So I started the Bermuda the running race, the race, and they tell me, you have to be at Bermudiana Road at 11 o'clock to judge floats. But at 11 o'clock, people are still coming in on the run. So it's like, the Bermuda regiment are standing and they're like, Minister, we've been sent to get you. And I'm like, So I tell you, the behind the scenes that people don't know about is actually really, really intriguing. And shout out to everyone that brings that on. The acting director of culture, Ms. Carlita Lodge, her team, the permanent secretary for this ministry, Ms. Shivon Washington, and everyone that's involved in the Department of Culture and the Ministry of Tourism, Transport, Culture, and Sport. It's a day that we've been preparing for, and I'm assuring you and your listeners, Jamel, that it will be something that they will be proud of.
Minister, thank you so much. Looking forward to the rest of a great Heritage Month and Bermuda Day. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Minister Owen Darrell, folks. If you appreciated the discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. And how are you feeling about Bermuda Day after hearing that, folks? We'll get to it after this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up and send you off for the rest of the weekend. But we have a daily play that is reflective of Bermuda heritage and Bermuda trivia and Bermuda Day. If you don't get this answer, you will have your Bermudian card taken away.